So let's talk about money today. Good mom community, welcome to the show. But first, I would so appreciate it if you leave a rating or review on the show. As I'm building the show from the ground up, truly every rating or review helps. And whatever platform you're on, please follow or hit subscribe. I would so appreciate it. So my guest today has thought harder than maybe almost anyone else about money as legacy. Mm-hmm. And like what you leave behind and who you protect and what you're actually saying with every financial decision that you make. And she doesn't have kids yet, but she's on Good Mom today, which means that honestly, she might be seeing this much more clearly than I am, or maybe than you are, anyone who is listening. Vivian 2, your Rich BFF. Let's go.
Thanks for having me, love.
Hi. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so happy to see you.
It's been a minute. I know. I haven't seen you in a little while.
Yeah.
I had a baby.
Oh, I know. The cutest baby ever.
Everyone knows. They're like, will you please stop talking about your fucking baby?
Well, if I'm honest, I feel like you tricked me into this podcast recording because
Really?
I thought that I was going to get to hold a baby while we did this.
I know.
So
Vivian walked in. She was like, where's the baby?
I was like, where's my niece? I'm ready to hold, please.
I'm at work. She's, with her dad right now and the nanny because I'm at work. Okay, first, before we get started, you just sold a show to Amazon?
I did.
Please just spill the beans. I'm so excited for you. Your career has been on an absolute rocket ship.
Thank you.
Like, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Okay, so to back up just a little bit, not quite fully greenlit yet. Amazon licensed the rights to that book. In the book, it's a nonfiction work, but I teach a lot of money lessons and I tell it through a series of stories of basically how I completely screwed myself over in my early 20s.
Love it.
Classic.
Didn't we all?
Truly, didn't we all?
Didn't we all?
But I was so lucky to be introduced to Patrick Moran's production company, PKM, and then they made a connection to an incredible showrunner and an incredible writer, Mallory Rosenthal and Sarah Kashurska, and then it kind of worked out perfectly because Sarah already had a really great relationship with Amazon. PKM had a first rights deal with Amazon. And it all just kind of came together in this perfect Cinderella package that Amazon licensed the rights to my book. And we're actually working on it all together to create a scripted show. My hope for this is that it is not only entertaining and just as fun to watch as your favorite rom-com, dramedy, whatever, but like you actually learn something from it.
I hope to learn things from you today.
We're going to. Tons.
Okay, so I want to get into the questions because you really do talk about like saving for your family and generational wealth and legacy a lot. Yeah. So you wrote an entire book about the financial decisions that shape your family's future before you have had a family. Yeah. If you want kids, what do you think you're going to get wrong?
I think people feel like when they're thinking about children and they're budgeting for their new family or like potentially having a child, they think like the biggest expenses are going to be diapers or buying the stroller or setting up the new bedroom in their house. But like those are largely temporary costs or one-time fixed costs.
Yes.
The thing that most people do underestimate is childcare. Childcare could very literally be a second mortgage payment. And people don't realize that, especially in major metros, you got to get on a waiting list to even get the childcare.
It is for us. It is. It's really expensive.
It's a lot.
It's shockingly expensive. And like you think about the number and conceptually, it's very different than like actually like writing the check. And I'm so grateful for our childcare because it means that I can do my job and my husband can do our job. But that is an excellent point. Like, yes, you get pregnant and you're like, oh my God, I like have to buy a crib. I have to buy all these outfits. Yeah. It's the other stuff that you probably have blinders on. Yeah. And then you are in that situation and you're like, holy shit.
Essentially what I like to call like net new costs.
Yeah.
So like when you
what does that mean? Net new costs?
So like truly new costs.
Okay.
When you think about things you're already spending on for yourself, right? You spend money on food.
Yes.
Okay. An incremental amount of money on formula, eventually baby food, eventually little kid snacks. It's adding on to something already in your budget. Or maybe you already have a budget set aside for furniture. You already have a budget set aside for updates to your home. buying one of those, what is it, like the little cheese blocks things that kids, what are those called? The things that the kids play on?
Like, I don't know, like the little furniture things?
Yeah, the little furniture things that you can like remold with the, like the triangle and the square.
Oh, yeah. There's like these like new brands now that like, make that kitty furniture type of stuff. Yes.
Again, those are things that you are already experienced paying for because you bought a big girl couch, you bought a normal dining room table, you bought all of this stuff before.
Oh, so Nell's like couch is not net new compared to my couch because we're already buying couches.
Yes. So it's not necessarily a net new cost. You know what a couch costs. Mm-hmm. And frankly, something for your child is going to be much, much cheaper than the adult version. Childcare is a net new cost. You have not had to pay for someone to come watch you in quite some time. Right? Like you don't pay for a chaperone to like take you to and from daycare. These are net new costs. So people don't visualize. They have no frame of reference of what it could possibly cost. Like go and ask one of your single friends who does not have kids and just be like, how much do you think childcare is a month? You will get everything from, I don't know, $200 all the way to $20,000 because they don't have any frame of reference.
So do you think that like anyone can really be financially ready to have a kid, or is everyone just lying about being financially ready to have a kid?
Listen, I think there are certainly people out there who are financially ready, but I think pretty much broadly across the spectrum, every parent is still underestimating what all of those expenses might be.
We have severely underestimated the expenses. Like, if I'm being completely honest, and it's a challenge. Right?
Like, candidly, you work incredibly hard. You run a full-time business. I don't know your husband that well, but, you know, it sounds like he also works. Like, he makes good money, whatever. And, like...
Yeah, he works in finance.
Finance. Okay, yeah. But, like, you guys are financially stable, financially well off, and you're still underestimating.
We are, and it doesn't feel that way.
It doesn't feel that way.
It feels like we're underwater.
Correct.
And, like, I think everyone feels like they're underwater.
Like every single parent, no matter how prepared, you read What to Expect When You're Expecting, you've done all of the like, you know, mommy, daddy, like yoga classes preparing for all, you just can't prepare for net new experiences.
Yeah. Can we talk about though, that feeling that everyone feels like they're underwater right now? Because there is a whole generation of us who grew up being told that if you saved your money, you'd be safe. You would be okay. So get a job, don't overspend, put your money away. And the life that your parents had would be waiting for you on the other side. And then we have become adults in this generation and have realized that the math truly just does not work like that anymore. So like, I'm very curious because I feel like people learn a lot of financial lessons from their parents. Yeah. And like, the financial instincts that we have inherited in this generation are not working. Yeah. And so how would you talk to the people listening to this show about how they should teach their children about money and the future of money? And like, does anyone even have money in their savings account anymore? Like truly, I feel like everyone just lives like credit card bill to credit card bill, paycheck to paycheck.
Okay, let me get on a soapbox really quick.
Please get on that soapbox because this is a huge problem.
It's a huge problem. And unfortunately, our generation is the first generation to be worse off than our parents economically.
I have to imagine that there's data to support that.
Yeah, this is not me making this up. Like this is stuff that has been backed by average earnings, average savings.
Feels it, so like it's real.
Yeah, ability to retire, all of those things. And the problem was our parents and our grandparents came up in a generation where that ethos of work hard, get a good degree, go to the right school, get the right job. You work there for 40 years, you will be able to ride off into the sunset into your cute little retirement. That doesn't exist because even though wages have largely stagnated, we're seeing that the cost of education has multiplied depending on if you go to an in-state, out-of-state, public or private university, anywhere from 10 to 50x.
Talk about preschool prices.
Right.
Not just college.
All of the prices.
Oh my God.
And then the cost of housing has 10x'd over the past 50 years. Like, it is crazy. Your dollar just doesn't go as far. And the frustration for me is that we have consistently elected legislators who have grown this divide between the haves and the have-nots. And it's so short-sighted because, yes, yay for all of these rich people who are making more money, and so sad for all of these people who don't have any money who are feeling even worse. But a strong economy comes from having a very large middle class because you want families to have enough discretionary income to go out to dinner on Saturday night. And if families don't have that money, that restaurant just closes.
Right.
And when those families can't afford to go on vacation anymore, that resort just closes.
Yeah.
And we're now seeing the bifurcation of ultra luxury experiences that very, very few people in their entire lifetime can afford. And all of the creature comforts of life that really made life worth living are starting to disappear for the average person. And that is incredibly frustrating.
Well, it's not just frustrating, it's incredibly challenging for a lot of people. Like,
and it's
I think
disheartening.
I think there's a real fear element that has pervaded an entire generation when it comes to money. And even I think about, like, how are we going to retire? Like, what does that even look like for our generation? And what does that mean for our kids? I think about our kids and just the explosion of AI in the last year, and I see all of the jobs just being like slashed left and right because AI has gotten good at a lot of entry-level jobs, which means that young people coming up trying to get jobs are having a very hard time getting jobs. And I think about, what are all of these kids going to do? How do we give them guidance to live a successful and happy life when, frankly, we don't even know what the future holds? It's something that I think about a lot. Do you think about that?
I do. I am an eternal optimist.
That's good. So, like, this is maybe not like an existential crisis, because everyone's
I'm not saying that.
Like it's an existential crisis.
It might be. So here's, okay, so here, just hear me out, okay? I am an optimist because a lot of people said the same thing about the dot-com boom in 2000.
Okay.
And people were like, the rise of the internet, everything is going to be like different now. And like, yeah, it changed literally everything.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, we have to very much all kind of get on board with AI to an extent. Am I handing over my inbox to AI? Hell no.
No.
I don't trust that shit yet. But I do think AI can help you get knowledge aggregated very quickly. I think it can provide strong directional guidance, and then you can do your own research and talk to a human expert and things like that. But to your exact point, our kids aren't going to have it easy.
No.
Like, they're going to have to really learn how to live alongside all of this new tech to be able to further their careers. And the scariest part is, our grandparents, our parents had pensions. So when they worked at companies, they would work at these companies for 40 years and they work at the same place. And you always wondered, like, why were they such company men? Like, why were they so loyal? It's not because they were getting better raises or better promotions. They had pensions, meaning it was up to the employer to fund your retirement. But then in the 70s, with the invention of the 401k, pretty much every single employer, aside from nonprofits and governmental organizations, said, oh, now the retirement's not my problem anymore. It's your problem. And so you got to fund it. And if you're lucky, maybe I give you a little match, a little some, just because I'm so nice. So great. It's a benefit, whatever. The onus of who has to save for the retirement has shifted from the employer to the employee.
I see.
And so it's very hard now for people who either start late or feel like they're behind to feel like they can actually get to the retirement that they want. I'm here to tell you that it's possible. But you have to be really, really diligent. And this is a long-term play.
How, girl?
Like, you have to be setting money aside as soon as you possibly can, maximizing that employer match. You want to make sure that, like, you are taking care of future you.
So talk to the people listening.
Yeah.
Let's say it's a mom, they're married, they have 2 kids, but they don't really have savings. And let's say that, their household income is $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
How does that family start saving and preparing for the future of the adults in the family, but also, like, long term, the costs that their children, will create, going to school, getting a degree, like whatever it is. Like, what are just the fundamental basics that people can take away from this conversation and be like, oh my God, I have to go do this right now?
Yeah. I think first, like I always tell people if they want to get their money right, they need to strip. And it's even more important when you have kids.
Strip what?
Strip. Wink, wink. No, people are like, wait, what kind of show is this? No, STRIP is an acronym. Yeah, STRIP is an acronym. S stands for savings. It's really important to just first have 3 to 6 months of living expenses set aside in a high yield savings account.
Okay.
Not a traditional savings account from your bank, a high yield savings account. You need to be earning more interest on your savings.
Can you just go to your bank and ask for that type of account, or do you have to go to a special bank?
You might have to go to an online bank.
Oh.
They basically are paying for the privilege of you moving your business.
Got it. Okay.
But they're just as FDIC insured, so definitely worth doing. I have one. I use mine.
Okay.
So 3 to 6 months of living expenses into that high yield savings account. Then I would say total debt, T, you got to focus on paying your debt down in a strategic way. People just throw money at their debt hoping it'll go away. You have to do the math.
But debt is okay, right? Like,
in some cases, you rank your debt from highest to lowest interest rate.
Right.
You make the minimum payment across everything. And then any additional debt pay down funds, you put towards the debt with the highest interest rate. You want to get all of your debt above 7% cleared before you start investing.
So we're not talking about credit card debt.
So what we are saying is that if you have debt, like inclusive of all of this stuff,
okay,
you need to make the minimum payment across everything at least.
At least.
At least.
Keywords, at least.
Any additional debt pay down funds go in the order of interest rate. So
highest interest rate, lowest interest rate.
Highest interest rate would be your credit card.
Yeah.
You got to get that done. Then will come things like maybe a car payment.
Then maybe your mortgage.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
But if you graduated school, like when I graduated school, people were getting federal subsidized loans with a 3%, 4% handle. And so you can slow roll those. You don't need to get those paid off overnight.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So everyone's like really stressing about like that type of debt, and maybe they
don't need to be. Yeah. If you have a private loan with a 12% interest rate, that's a very different conversation.
Yeah.
But if you have a low interest federal subsidized loan, you don't need to be going crazy trying to get it paid off tomorrow.
This is what I am gifting every new mom in my life. Every new mom gets the Hutch Baby. I'm telling you. We love this machine. Nell had a really rough night last week. We were in her room at 3 a.m. She just couldn't fall asleep. And instead of panicking, I remembered that in the Hatch Baby app, there is a one-on-one sleep consultant chat. Like in real time, you can use this sleep consultant chat. There are milestone sleep guides. And the machine also comes with these like really cool science-backed lights and sounds. I'm sure you've seen them like on the internet with other people that have the Hatch Baby. And every Hatch Baby comes with 6 months of that expert support included in it. So basically, the education in the app and how you use the app should grow with her from now when she's 3 months old until she is a big kid, which I think is really cool. I also learned that 1 in 3 nurseries have a Hatch Baby in it. Like, there's a very obvious reason for that. It's because it's a truly great machine and it works. So again, if you are a new mom in my life, get ready because I'm getting you the Hatch Baby. But if you want your own Hatch Baby, visit www.hatch.co/baby to learn more about Hatch Baby, or find Hatch Baby on Amazon, Target, and Babylist registry. Okay, so before I had a baby, I did not fully understand why people had opinions about strollers. But like, I get it now. I really get it. I'm in New York City. I walk the dog. I'm trying to get into a coffee shop. I'm getting in and out of ride shares. And the thing that has saved me, honestly, is my Nuna Swiv stroller. It's been my stroller since day one. All 4 wheels have 360-degree rotation, so you can move side to side. You can pivot easily. You can get through a door without doing a full choreographed, like 17-point turn. My husband was like, we got to get the Swiv because of these fancy features. And it really sounds like a small thing until you are holding a leash and a coffee and you just need the stroller to cooperate. And this one just cooperates. I also notice that very few people hold the door open for moms with strollers. So we just got to take charge ourselves. And the Nuna Swiv helps you do that so easily.
trust me when I say this. Those side-to-side wheels save lives. The bassinet has also been incredible in those early weeks when you just want somewhere safe and comfortable to set your baby down on your walk that isn't in your arms. And the Pippa Urban car seat, oh my gosh, we take a lot of ride shares in the city and it clicks in and out so easily. It's genuinely life-changing. Also worth knowing, Nuna's entire car seat line is made with FR-free materials, meaning no added fire retardant chemicals. And as someone who runs a wellness brand and thinks about this stuff a lot, that actually really matters to me. So if you are looking for a stroller, check out nunababy.com or pop into your local Nordstrom to try it yourself. Okay, I want to keep going through the letters.
Yeah. Okay. And this is where things get interesting. Retirement. I want you to focus, R of strip. You got to focus on retirement. Parents ask me all the time, they're like, should I be putting money aside for my retirement or should I be prepping for my kid's college fund? Da-da. Your kid can always borrow to go to school. No one is going to issue you a loan for your retirement. So you really need to prioritize this. Otherwise, at some point, your kids will become your retirement plan and they're going to hate you for it. So you need to prepare for your retirement.
Okay.
The accounts that you can use to get a tax benefit to do so are a 401k, a 403b. If you're self-employed, maybe a solo 401k, an SEP IRA. There's also individual retirement accounts, both of the traditional and Roth variety. All of these will provide you some sort of tax benefit, and you're going to start contributing dollars to them. You want to take full advantage of things like company match, and just making sure that like you can put as much towards your retirement as possible. Only 1 in 4 people is adequately investing for retirement. 1 in 4 has $0 saved for retirement. And then 2 of them are underfunded. That's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good at all.
Yeah.
That means you're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices during a time in your life where you probably can't be affording to make a lot of sacrifices.
You don't want
to
lifestyle change just because you've retired.
You don't want to live in squalor at 70.
No.
That's not the play.
No. Oh God.
Right.
No. Yeah.
And so retirement, really important. Please, please, please prioritize it. I cannot stress that enough. And now for I. You don't just put money in the account and pray. You actually have to then go buy stuff. And so people are always like, well, what do I buy? You can buy index funds that track the broader market. You can buy target date retirement funds. You're going to see these in your accounts for your 401k, and it'll be like target date retirement fund 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, all the way up to like 75, 80 at this point, 2080. You are just going to calculate the year closest to when you turn 65, and that's probably age appropriate for you.
Okay.
You could also just use a robo-advisor. These are platforms where you take a quick quiz about your money goals and they choose investments for you. You'll pay a small fee to do so, but it gets you invested quickly.
Yeah.
And the reason I love this is because people get paralysis from analysis. And if you have too many choices to make, you just won't do it.
Just hearing you talk to me about index
It's stressful.
funds, I'm like, what?
But if you use a robo-advisor, you can answer a quick quiz
Yeah.
and be invested in 45 minutes, and then you don't have to worry about it.
I love that. I love that option.
Yeah, because it feels like cheating, and it's the best.
Maybe the tech is helpful in some ways.
Yes, exactly. It's similar to like, hey, I don't want to make my own Spotify playlist. I want Spotify to just give me my day list. Great.
Sure.
I'm listening to the day list. It's a pretty decent fit for what I want right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Because it knows all of the information about you. It's the same premise. Spotify has your listening data. You would provide a robo-advisor all of your financial data, and then they would be able to help you pick a playlist that works for your investments.
Okay. Got it.
And then for P, I think this is the really important part.
Pray?
Plan.
Pray you're going to be okay?
Pray you're going to be okay. Yes, sure. If you are religious, that is a good choice.
Just pray it's going to be okay.
But you have to plan. We have to plan. Originally, when you asked me this question, it was about a family it was a wife who had 2 children, married, $70,000 all-in income every year.
Yeah.
Depending on where they live, that's tight. That's a really tight budget.
Extremely tight.
Extremely tight budget. The planning piece comes in here. I need her and her spouse to sit down and ask themselves, what does happily ever after look like for us? And I want them to be thoughtful, but also realistic. If you're making 70 grand a year all in, you're not driving a lime green Lamborghini. You're not. You don't get to live in the biggest mansion in your town.
No, you're probably not like driving a Tahoe either.
Yeah.
Like you picked a lime green Lamborghini, but
Yeah.
let's like bring it down to earth a little bit.
Like we are driving the Ford Fiesta.
Yes.
And so we have to have a real conversation about like what that life can buy you. But I want you to plan by imagining your perfect year. What does a perfect year look like for you? You're traveling, you are taking care of your kids, you're doing, how much does that cost? Ask yourself, what would that year cost you? Then we divide by 0.04. That represents a really conservative 4% investment return. More often than not, the S&P 500 since its inception has returned 8 to 10% a year. So 4 is very safe.
Mm-hmm.
The number that you calculate is the number you would have to have invested to fully fund your lifestyle. And
every
you would never,
year for like a number of years?
every year forever. Because I'm calculating based off of 4% return. If you get more than that, the principal amount grows.
Okay, give me like a very basic like math example of that.
Okay, well, this is the only basic math that I can provide you because it's easy numbers.
That's good.
Say your perfect year is $100,000.
Okay.
You need $100,000 to live your perfect life. You would need to have $2.5 million invested so that you would never have to work again, but you could continue funding that perfect life. It doesn't just stay $2.5 million because it's invested. It's growing every year.
Oh.
And you're living not off of the 2.5 million, but you're living off of the growth every year.
Oh, the 4% growth.
The 4% growth, if not more.
What's 4% of $2.5 million?
I would need a calculator.
Okay.
But this is to say, 4% would be $100,000.
Okay, got it.
So if your money grew more than that, your principal, your 2.5 would actually get bigger every year.
Yes.
So you would be actually earning more than $100,000, more than what you need every year.
Right.
You can literally live off of this into perpetuity.
Oh, I get it. By the time you retire, you need that much money in the bank so that the interest that you earn on that money is the cost of your perfect year every year.
Correct. You got it, girl. See?
Genius.
You are.
Yeah. I just didn't know what you were saying.
Yeah.
But now
you understand.
Now I know what you're saying.
Exactly.
That makes sense to me. Okay, so
I also love seeing the light bulb moment go off in women's heads.
Yeah, you're like,
when they're like,
"Oh."
I am smart enough to understand this. I do get it.
Yeah.
Because all of us are.
It's true. I talk down to myself about money and my understanding of finance and like how the world works all the time. And I know that this is something that you preach you should not do. Like you have to learn this stuff. You have to like make it part of your DNA and how you function every single day. And I like really respect that. But I don't know. It's just hard for my brain.
Connect it to other facets of your life. So like I, like many young women, grew up looking at myself in the mirror and being uncomfortable with certain parts of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, you look chubby, or you don't look good, or your legs are jiggly, or like everything. And if you say something enough times, you really start to believe it. And if you tell yourself, I'm bad with money, I am not, good with money, I'm not financially stable, you are going to start to believe it. But I want you to wake up every day and just tell yourself, I am the captain of my own ship.
Yeah.
I am the smartest person in the room. Every dollar I have made for myself. All of the success of my business I built. You did that.
I guess I do own a pretty successful business. And I've
Isn't that
made
crazy?
it on my own until I was 37 years old and kind of did it pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a post-it
Doesn't that feel good?
It does feel good. I'm going to put a sticky note on my mirror in the bathroom that says, you are good with money, girl.
You are. You wouldn't be here if you weren't.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It is interesting, though, to think about it through the lens of, like, being a parent. Were your parents good with money? Like, what was your, like, family life from a money situation growing up like?
Yeah. So my parents were not wealthy.
Okay.
They were very good savers, really good at budgeting, really good at cutting costs. But there was no conversation at my house of growing my wealth, asking for more at work, like investing, demanding more. Like, it was always about shrinking me versus growing the picture. And I think I had that mentality for a very long time. And frankly, I am still, my husband says this, he's like, God, for someone who makes a lot of money, who is very smart, you are such a cheapskate. Like, you are willing to shop around for 3 hours to make sure you get the best value on those jeans, even if the jeans are $500. Like, what are we doing? Like, those are expensive jeans. Just get them. They're expensive. They're expensive. Whatever. Just buy them. And it's silly, but I think it is kind of weird to say, but like ancestral. Like, my parents grew up through the Chinese Communist Revolution.
Okay.
Like my mom witnessed my grandfather being thrown in jail for being someone who had a good job and made money and was educated. She watched, this was a situation where like you would get coupons essentially for the amount of food your family could get, and you'd have to stand in line to go get a bag of rice or whatever. Like my mom,
I see. It's a safety mechanism.
It's
the
a
way
safety
that they
mechanism.
Had to become
100%
became a safety mechanism for them.
And even now, I feel so grateful. My parents have been incredibly frugal their entire lives. They're now finally at a position where they're like, wow, our daughter doesn't need our money. We can spend it. We can go on vacation.
Oh.
And they're having a great time. But my mom is still very money conscious. And they are always of the mindset that the other shoe is going to drop. And I think I inherited a little bit of that, even to this day.
It's interesting because you talk about like, you know, if you want to, like the thing you just think, like you're buying $500 pairs of jeans, but you're still like shopping around for the best deal. And so like there is a little bit of a gap there, right? And like I'm curious because it's not like practice what you preach, but to a certain degree, it's just interesting that like your inner core still is like living kind of what your parents taught you.
You want to know why?
Even though like you're this finance expert and you're like, you can have the life you want as long as you do it all of these different ways. But that like, you know, that family story, that family way, like still really sticks with you. And I think that that's interesting. I think probably everyone has their own story like that.
Your financial habits are actually all typically ingrained by the age of 7.
Really?
Scary, right?
Wow.
Terrifying.
Wow.
Horrifying.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think if you get lucky, it's good.
It could be, but I think the thing is like everybody has a little bit of financial trauma.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe it's their parents having survived through '08. Maybe it's a parent losing their business. Maybe it's a parent talking about how the Johnsons across the street had a better car and a nicer TV and a cooler house than they did.
Right.
There's always something.
Yeah. I guess I have never really thought about those types of things as financial trauma, but you're totally right. They can create financial trauma and they can really affect how you think about money. You may not always connect the two until listening to this podcast right now. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Huh.
Uh-huh.
You are a financial expert,
genius.
Okay. You talk about money as freedom, autonomy.
Yeah.
Kind of what you just yelled at me about. You're like, you can do it.
I only yell because you're my friend and I love you.
I have to say, though, I have had a kid now and freedom like looks completely different.
You're like being held you're like being held hostage at like a black site right now because you're not sleeping.
I'm just curious, has your definition of rich changed at all since you started thinking about your family legacy?
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Tell me about that.
So when it was just me in my early 20s, Rich was very flashy. Rich was, I want the new designer bag. I want the shoes with the red bottoms. I want to, have a standing reservation at the nicest restaurant in town.
Standing resi?
Girl, I didn't even have that kind of money, so I don't know what I was thinking.
Wow.
And now that I have a husband and I am in a different financial position.
Your wedding was so beautiful. Why?
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Wealth looks really different. I feel like much less of a need to use money as a tool to prove something to other people. Like, I feel like everybody knows at this point that if there is something on a retail shelf, I can probably afford it. And that's a level of confidence that I've never had growing up. Because there were many times that my mom said, no, we can't afford it. You can't have it. But now I can afford pretty much anything. I don't need it anymore. I don't need to show you that I can afford that purse. But you know what I do need? I need an insurance policy to be able to maybe start a family later, which is why I spent $25,000 to freeze embryos with my husband. It's the reason why when we are thinking about where we live and the home that our next purchase is, we have to think bigger than what we currently have. Our current home is a 3-bedroom. One of the bedrooms does not have any windows, so it's not legally a bedroom. It's our office. But like,
love that.
Right now we're having the conversation of like, well, functionally, we cannot have 2 children.
Yeah.
We don't even have the space for it.
Right.
Like, what does that mean? Does that mean in the next couple years we have to move? And what does that look like financially? My husband is a big watch guy. He like loves a fancy watch, and I like kind of indulge it because like he has so few other things that he spends money on. But I was like, hey, like, you know, maybe for this birthday we could get you a watch. And he was like, no, we got to save this money. And we got to save this money because the next place we get has to have like a true 3rd bedroom if we want to have 2 kids. And so it's a conversation around, what does a rich life really look like? For me now, a rich life means that I don't make a lot of the mistakes, and I don't even want to call them mistakes, but decisions that my parents had to make. I had 2 immigrant parents who both worked to make ends meet. I was so jealous of all of the other kids who had PTA moms who could come into school and bring cookies and like be there at noon on a Tuesday. My mom could never do that shit. My mom was working. And frankly, she missed a lot of plays, ballet recitals, soccer matches, like all of that stuff. My mom was never there in the stands. But because of those sacrifices, because certainly she wanted to be there, because of those sacrifices, I graduated from the University of Chicago without any student loan debt. That was a blood, sweat, and tear sacrifice. My parents made that happen for me. Yeah. I got scholarships, but they covered a lot of my education. And that was $250,000 at the time I went. Now it's even more expensive. And so for me, I feel like richness is putting myself in a position financially where I don't have to decide, do I go to the soccer match or do I have to work? I want to be able to get to work because I love what I do.
Yeah.
But the money now buys me the time to be able to take an hour out of my Tuesday to go bring my kid lunch, sit with them and see their friends and be an active participant in their childhood in a way that like I didn't get.
I think that that's like deeply touching for me to hear you talk about that and really meaningful. And I hope everybody takes something nice away from that.
Yeah. Like I just remember like the day after, I don't know if this is like how like the, you know, elementary school you went to or whatever, but after parent teacher conference or like the night where the parents come in to meet the teacher.
Back to school night.
Back to school night. That's
what it is. Or open house.
Yeah. Something like that. They had all the the parents write notes to their kids on this like monstrous sized piece of paper. And I remember so vividly that I like knew my parents hadn't gone. And I was like, oh, well, I'm just not going to have a note. And I remember having a note on my desk. And I was like, wait, did they go? And it wasn't until years and years later I realized that the teacher had written notes for all of the kids whose parents couldn't go. And I don't want to get emotional, but like, I would never want my kid to feel that way. Like to walk in and be like, oh, I can't participate in this thing that like all the other parents did.
Yeah.
Because I think those kinds of things stick with you.
Yeah.
In a pretty bad way, actually.
But I also would argue that like hearing you talk about your parents and your mom being at work so that like you could live the life that like, you know, you did, I think is like the counter argument to that.
Exactly.
Right? Like, yes, like this is what it means to just live a human life, right? Is that like experiences, they can be dual,
crying on
right?
The show. This is so
like,
stupid.
Duality exists in these things, right? Like it can be like deeply horrible that your parents were there to write the note and equally as great that they were at work so that they could provide for you.
Yeah.
I think like that is like the beauty of these lives that we live is that they are like amazing and awful at the same time. Like it's sort of poetic and romantic to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Because of all the sacrifices that they made, I feel like a very deep need to succeed.
Yeah.
Because it's me paying them back for all of those nights that they didn't get to be at those things that they certainly would have, any normal parent would have wanted to be at. It's not like they were skipping for fun. But
I doubt they were skipping for fun.
No one was skipping for fun. For all of the vacations they didn't take, for all of the times my mom never went and got her nails done or got her hair done, all the times that they skipped, certain things in their day, or they would wake up super early to go to work early to get all their work done so they could leave early to come pick me up. Like, all of the sacrifices. Like, it is not just me succeeding for me and my future family. I owe it to my parents to make all of those moments worth it.
Yeah. I feel the same way. And that's the way that I live my life also.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying really hard to make my parents proud of me.
Yeah.
Even as somebody who's going to be 40 this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing it for my nuclear family. Right?
Yeah.
But I started doing it when I was 17 on Laguna Beach to make my parents proud.
Which, by the way, I don't even know how you're like a normal, well-adjusted person.
Me neither.
Like, to have start your like young adulthood in that way under such scrutiny is crazy.
It was so bizarre.
Yeah.
And I think, the Laguna reunion was just on, and like a big part of it was everyone just trying to work through the trauma of what happened to us to a certain degree. And like, this is not about money, but like, it's weird to be cast onto a reality television show when reality television like was not even a thing back then.
It had just started.
15, 16 years old, right? And then to have to live with that burden, but also great opportunity for the rest of your life is just a weird, weird thing for sure. And I have always been somebody that I think has tried to make the best of it, but tried to really move my life forward, and sometimes in dramatic fashion, like moving to New York in 2012. And like, I haven't lived in California since. Yeah. That's pretty dramatic, right? To like physically flee from California to like start your life over again. Yeah. And I think that it's easy to see now when you watch reality television and you see social media and how quickly somebody's story can be told and how quickly millions and millions of people can like think that you're a villain or hate you or whatever, how traumatic that can be for people. The people who participate in these types of programs.
People online,
right?
by the way, crazy. Why are you sending people death threats?
I mean, insane. But I think like you can see now how easily traumatizing doing reality TV could be. But back then, people just didn't understand. And so everyone on the Laguna show just like lived with this trauma silently for years because nobody got it. Nobody understood. They couldn't see like how challenging it was to like be living a life where all of a sudden everybody knows who you are and has an opinion about you, and you're still a very, very young adult. Yeah. And at
that time there weren't as many economic opportunities of like becoming an influencer, becoming a creator.
Totally.
Like,
it was just you were on the show and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Like there were no brand deals to be had.
There were no brand deals to be had in the year 2004. Yeah. That is completely accurate. But yeah, I think like everyone came to the reunion and kind of was like ready to sort of like face that for the first time. And I honestly think everyone like feels a lot better since the reunion, to be honest with you.
That's awesome.
Like being able to talk about it and kind of process it. Everyone's like, oh my God, Laguna, it's this like amazing thing. Yeah. Everyone who watched that show enjoyed it way more than the kids that participated in that show. But I think
that's the tea.
Because of the trauma that ensues. But I think now we're on the other side of it, and now it can be this like fun, enjoyable, interesting thing. And I don't know. I feel way better about it now than I did even 10 years ago.
I love it for you.
Yeah. Anyway, Vivian, to everybody, tell our listeners where they can find you and your amazing books and everything. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. First off, thank you so much for having me. Everybody listening, watching, you can find me as Your Rich BFF across all social media. And please grab a copy of my new New York Times bestseller, Well Endowed, wherever you get books.
Congratulations. You're a star.